Hi, and welcome everyone. Welcome to our sixth full moon gathering to celebrate the strawberry moon with RAD Network. My name is Winona. Some of you might have met me at the gathering in Fredericton a couple months ago in April. I was born, raised, and reside on the unceded territory of the Kanien'kehá:ka Nation, otherwise known as Montreal. I'm of mixed descent. My grandmother was Cree Métis from Cumberland House, Saskatchewan, and I'm a student in environmental sciences at Concordia University and a research assistant for Future Earth and sustainability in the digital age. So I'll pass it over for Christina. She's going to open us with a opening song and prayer.
Hi, everyone. I'm happy that I'm here. And I wanted to open with an ancestor song and an honor song to honor everybody who is here, honor our ancestors. So I'd like to sing, it's called the Rainbow Warrior Song. Way away, way away, shana be migwet maneto yaera yaera ya we ya we aho ero we aero oh migwet.
So the RAD network is something that emerged from the streams of work at the Conservation Through Reconciliation Partnership to advance collaborative solutions that will restore relationships and Indigenous knowledge systems, assert Indigenous rights, and defend lands and waters. We have an Indigenous leadership group consisting of David Flood, Trish Nash, Stephen Nitas, Terry Dorward, Kim Neal, and Eli Enns. The purpose of our full moon gathering. Oh. Is that Christina with us?
No, it's just somebody else. You can keep going.
All right, so I'll keep going. Yeah, so the purpose of the full moon gatherings was to build connections and learn from each other. So since January, we've been meeting once a month around the full moon to talk about one question or theme. For this month, the strawberry moon, we've been focused on youth. So I'm going to pass it to my colleague and partner, Lara, who's going to explain a little bit more.
Thanks, Winona. So hi, everyone. I'm Lara Powell. I've also been supporting the RAD Network Operations Group. And I'm joining you from Toronto or Tikaronto on the treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit. And I'd like to just acknowledge that I'm not Indigenous myself, and I'm also a borderline youth, like Winona's, depending how broad your definition is. But our other co-hosts couldn't make it today, so I'm just jumping in to help facilitate a panel discussion with some youth who have joined us today. But before that, I'll just give a little more background on why we're focusing on youth today. And this was a key message that came up at our recent gathering. So some of us gathered together in Fredericton at St. Mary's First Nation for a gathering at the end of April. And the importance of engaging youth and uplifting youth voices came across really strongly. And as you can see on the slide here, in the top left, we had a graphic recording made live while we were having discussions. So you can see how a bunch of different ideas came up around ways that RAD and members and partners can support youth, including through calls for youth, by youth, potentially cultural exchanges, intergenerational mentorship, youth-specific resources. So this is a snapshot of some of what was discussed, but we're going to get into that more today. And so we'll start, as I said, with a short panel discussion. So we'd like to hear a little bit about what some of the youth who are joining us are doing in their own communities, what's motivating them to get involved, and what are their hopes for the future. And then after that, we'll move into our breakout discussions. So we're going to have a chat with Adrian Jones and Tara. If you're here, I'll let you introduce yourselves. So the first question, and by the way, these questions came from some of the youth who were at the gathering, and we had a discussion beforehand. So we wanted to start with, can you tell us about what you're involved in related to climate action and land guardianship? and what inspired you to get involved?
I can go first. So hello everybody, I'm Adrian Jones. I grew up and lived in Quebec and Labrador. So what inspired me to get involved is really how I grew up. My mother is a biologist, and I was always around her when she was working hard to preserve what we have in this world. And I grew up watching as the land has changed around us. When I was young, there was so much snow, and this year there's nothing. So I think that's, to me, is really important that we work to change that. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Adrian. Yeah, I think the observations of what's changing really helps us see why this is important work. We just have to look outside. So Tara, would you like to introduce yourself and speak a bit to that?
Hi, I'm Tara. I guess I'm in my 4th year of environmental studies at the University of Waterloo, but I grew up in Labrador. And so I think Adrian and I's experiences are kind of similar because we grew up together. But my dad was he's a really big fishing, hunting kind of guy. And my mom is kind of like a legal person. And so kind of, I guess like both of them, it's really in the way that I was raised and kind of like the people that I was around, and also like being out with my dad and just like having that connection to the land, that kind of thing is kind of what really reinforced, I guess, like the actions and like the degree that I'm pursuing now. Yeah, that's always what it's been.
Thank you. And so we also talked about our dreams and wanted to ask you both what your dreams are for the future, and that can be personal or general, big or small, however you want to take it.
For me, I see in the future us as people, as youth, having a stronger connection to the land. I feel like we've kind of lost that a bit as time has gone on, and I'd love to see that reconnection be rekindled, and our care for the land that we're on to be greater.
Thanks so much. And Tara?
Yeah, I can't speak for all Indigenous youth, but like the people that I've grown up with and like the people in my cohort, they kind of like, they grow up and they kind of feel a sense of not like urgency, but just like a dedication to kind of like return and to like help the people in their community. Because it's not really easy, like you're growing up with the people that you know, and sometimes they're suffering because of climate change or like other related issues. And so I feel like I really just want to come back and be able to like help my community. So if that's like, I don't know, through like youth outreach, or like I'm just working like at an organization in my community, I think like that is really, that's what I would do.
Thanks. Yeah, and thank you for connecting it with what you're doing. I think there's lots of youth on the call who are actually driving the change to see that change that they want to see in the future, which is really inspiring. So yeah, and I'll just reiterate the invitation for anyone else, any other youth on the call. If you want to jump in or respond in the chat, please feel free. And we have one more question, which is generally, why is it important for youth to be involved in this work?
For me, I find it important because us as youth, we're future knowledge holders. So it's really important that we get involved in this kind of work and absorb as much as we can from current knowledge holders, so we can pick up that mantle and honor it to our greatest degree.
Yeah, I think like just in the way that like we've grown up as youth, I think it's really easy to like get in your head about everything and just kind of try to convince yourself that like your input isn't needed or that like your voice isn't heard, which isn't true. And like it's just like really putting emphasis on like making sure that like, because like yeah, like we'll grow up and like we're the people that have to like make the decisions and work together. So yeah, we kind of just need to put our heads into it. And like that's why, you know, youth outreach is so important, because that makes sure that like we know that our voices are heard.